my brother-in-law, his father died. So his father was a Walter Cronkite of Iran. His funeral, 2,500 people show. I think they did 3 funerals.
Damn.
That's how big the helicopters, everything, riots, protesting, because he was a very big name man. He had one of the best voices in Iran. Alay Sabit Imani. So Siamak is there, so proud of him, walking around like a boss, taking care of his family. But he says, so many people came to me and told me the things that my dad did for them that I never knew about. He said, the most emotional thing for me was how many men came and said, do you really know who your dad was? Do you really know who your dad was? Do you really know who your dad was? He says, my dad never bragged about what he did for other people, but everybody kept coming. There's nothing like when I go around other men that have known my dad for a while and they tell me what my dad did for them. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. At the end of the day, that's what it's going to come down to. At your funeral, either they're going to say, this guy smashed so many, he made a lot of money, or freaking A, this guy changed our life. And especially so many that no one knows about. It's by far the best stories when people say things like that. So, I think it's important to realize that if we can lead from the 70-30 side, come down from the 90-10, the 80-20 to the 70-30 side, and you can kind of start seeing that, hey, I need to drive, but I also need to be looking at this way as well. And I need to kind of invest in things that outlive me. If you and I start looking at things that outlive us, life changes. I'll say this final thoughts, and I'll just kind of turn it over to you guys. Marriage is risky. Staying single is riskier. Having kids is risky. Being childless is riskier. Okay? Believing in God is risky. Not believing in God is riskier. Being part of a startup is risky. Taking the safe route is riskier. Making investment is risky. Not making any investments is riskier. This whole notion of what's risky and what's, even marriage, you're like, well, in America, it's the worst place to get married. You're right. I agree. I don't disagree. We're talking to a person who lives in Chile, and this person's going through a divorce. It's a girl going through a divorce. And I said, so how are things with the divorce? He says, well, in our country, everything's about the man. I says, what do you mean? He says, it's not like America. Here, if I want to take my kids to the States, he has to give me permission to take my kids to the States. So guess what? In Chile, if you get married, men are more protected than who? Women. In America, who's protected? It doesn't matter what you say. She's protected, right? Okay. Yeah. But guess what? Can we be a little bit more wiser in the way we get married? Can we have better lawyers to write up a better prenuptial? Instead of being cheap and spending $1,500 on a prenuptial, can we spend $8,000 or $5,000? Yes. Can we structure, especially if you have money. If you don't have money getting married, you can't bitch about it because you were broke before you got married. But if you are a guy that has money and then you get married and you then have to give 50%, you were lazy. You didn't want to go out there and get the right prenuptial in place. We can make the better choice as men to lead the family. All of those things are in us. Sometimes I also believe this messaging of, what we're doing and, women are this and women are that and men are this and men are that. Totally fine. Hey, all men are dogs. Okay, you can say that all you want. All men are dogs. All they're going to do is they're going to do this, that to you. Good luck thinking that way for the rest of your life. Go ahead. Believe your mom. Well, your father cheated on me so many times. Mary, let me tell you, all men are dogs. Mary, go ahead and believe that. See how that pans out for your life. Let me tell you, all women, they're all better. This was no problem. Go think that. And then you're on a date with this girl. It's getting serious. Like, this could be my wife. And then at some point in the relationship, after like 6-12 months, you're like, maybe I'm going to marry this girl. When you're looking at her, what you're telling yourself, here's what you're thinking. You're saying, okay, I'm probably going to marry you. I think there's a 60% chance this thing's going to work out. I think there's a 70% chance this thing's going to work out. I think 50% we're going to make it work. You'll never tell her this, but you're going to have that moment where you think about it. Okay, if you're not thinking about it, you're drunk. But let's just say you're not drunk and you're thinking about it, you're going to say that. If you say 100% this is going to work out, you're a fool and you're naive. No one's going to get married. It's a 0% chance working out. Why would you get married? But you have a number that you think about. And then your job is for the remaining 30 or 40% is to lead better, is to put better systems in place, to put better structure in place, to make sure if you know you can't do it by yourself, hey, maybe we need a little bit of God. Maybe we need to go out with more people that are married, happily married, and surround ourselves around them. Maybe we got to drop some of the single guys in our lives, single friends in our lives. Maybe we need to reprioritize what. Then you increase your chances. But, you know, we need more men. I went through the evolution myself as a 90-10er. Trust me, when my sergeant came out of the Army, he was at our house and everybody wanted to hear stories. I said, Felix, tell whatever story you want to tell. He says, you sure? I said, whatever story you want to tell him. Some of the stories he told, you wouldn't believe it. You're like, Pat did that, Pat did that. That's pretty shitty. Well, I was very selfish. Why? Hey, almost every man that goes through the selfish phase, you know what the requirement, the prerequisite is for a man to become a 90-10 when they just run through 50, 100 girls? You know what the prerequisite is? One girl cheats on you. Some of the best men, most powerful men in the world, one girl screws them over. And then they're like, you know what, done. Here's what I'm going to get even with you by going through this. Totally get it. We've all been through it. And then after you've done what you've done, eventually you're still going to be like, you know what? There's still a risk. I'm willing to take that risk. But here's how I'm going to take the risk. Let's go play ball. And then if you think you're going to find a better man out there, go ahead. Good luck to you. I'm going to give the argument there's no way in the world you're going to find somebody like that. And guess what your job is to me? Wife, what's that? Your job is to also tell me, good luck finding somebody that's going to have your back better than me. Good luck. Good luck finding somebody that's going to support you as much as I'm going to support you. That level of accountability from both sides makes both people improve, okay? And then, you know, I'm watching this one recording between 4 couples. One is they're about to get married. One is a newly married. One, they're in their 30s, 40s. They've been married for like 15, 20 years. And one, they've been married for 40 years. So everybody's given the problems that they're going through. Okay. Then the ones that have been married for 40 years, they're in their 60s. They say, yeah, that's great. Well, let me tell you what happened with us. My wife, she had to get a surgery done. For 9 months, we couldn't have sex. For 9 months, we couldn't have sex at all. Says we were in our late 50s. And I was upset. I was calling out my wife. I was fighting my wife. I was blaming her. I was saying I should go get a girl on the side, all this other stuff. And you know what God did 2 years later? What? I couldn't have sex for 2 years.
What?
My thing wouldn't come up. He said, I could take Cialis. I could take nothing would happen to me. I really had a condition that I was going through. He says, now explain life to you. Your wife can't leave you now. You could have left her. She could leave you now. The point with life he's trying to say is, trust me, you're going to go through a lot of shit, and you're just going to hope that someone's going to be there during a good time like that when you're going through it. Again, this is some of this fluffy stuff. People don't want to hear about this kind of fluffy stuff. They want to hear about calling out chicks and all this. That's more entertaining than this is boring shit. Trust me, I know it is. I'm telling you it's boring stuff. But I'm telling you, later on in life, when you're investing into things that outlive you, the high is a higher high, bigger high. When I was younger, life was hard and annoying. The way I was able to go through shitty times, I had some people in my life that were very negative and bitter. The only way I was able to get through it is to have something to look forward to. And it was Sunday NBA games. That was it.
Yeah.
So it was Wednesday. I'm going through some crying in my house nonstop. All I'm looking forward to is something on Sunday. If you have more things to look forward to in life, you come from a different place, you perform better, you handle problems in a different way, you're a little bit more patient because you have so many more things to look forward to. And it's very hard to position yourself to be there because that also comes with a lot of pain, heartache, risk. Because the same way you have a lot of things to look forward to is also means a lot of shit can break.
Yeah.
A lot of things can go against you. But the alternative is just not a life worth living for.
I gotta tell you, you got Chef PBD in the kitchen cooking right now, guys.
I agree with what you said 110-fold. But could we just adjust the marriage thing? I think marriage is great, but in a certain context of, for example, where you do it and how you do it. So let's say we can get married, but not by the state. Or if you get married outside the U.S., what do you think?
To get married in the States or outside the U.S.?
So, for example,
basically without the government being involved.
Yeah.
His big thing is which I agree with. Yeah, just having the state involved.
That's not. I don't care about that. To me, listen.
You're talking about the the actual.
I'm talking about the actual
marriage in itself. You don't care about the state.
No, man, go get married in a church. Go get married. So listen, babe.
Okay. Church.
But by the way, you can put a structure and say, babe, I'm going to get married. I'm not getting married by the government, but I'm going to get married based on our religion, our church. You good with that?
That's
Or else
perfect.
I'm not getting married.
That's
no
fair.
problem.
Perfect.
Yeah.
There you go, chat. So
Yeah,
you can do it smart.
Yeah. I think as long as you don't have the state involved where she could take you to the cleaners and destroy you, and you mitigate for risk, I think that's something that's a little bit more acceptable. Or you could just have 4 wives so they behave anyway. So